You're listening to episode 27 of Keep Blooming. I'm your host, Liz Montigny. And today's episode, I have 4 more quick tips for you on the wheel of life. We are going to be taking a look at the spokes of family, financial, personal, and career. And I just have some quick little refreshes in this area for you. So let's dive in and let's get growing and keep blooming. Do you want simple steps to level up your mind, body, and spirit, or encouragement as you navigate the challenges of motherhood? Or maybe you need a dose of hope to achieve that goal? Then you've tuned in to the right podcast. This is Keep Blooming, and I'm your host, Liz Montigny. Each week, I'll encourage you to drop the hustle mentality for hope and act on the dreams God has put on your heart. I'm a licensed Ziegler life coach. I've created a theater ministry, and like you, I'm doing all the things as a Catholic, a wife, and a mom to 3 boys. So let's get growing and keep blooming. Hello, welcome to episode 27 of Keep Blooming. I'm your host, Liz Montigny. Let's dive right in. So this is part 2 of some quick tips on giving your life a spring makeover. In episode 26, I talked about uplifting yourself mentally, spiritually, and physically. And those are the first 3 spokes on the wheel of life that I dive into with my clients. If you're not sure what the wheel of life is, real quick, if you can think of a wheel, the shape of a wheel, a round wheel, and on the wheel there are 7 spokes: mental, spiritual, physical, family, financial, personal, and career. And really, when you think about your life, right, everything falls into one of those buckets, okay? And what I do with my clients in my private coaching practice and on my retreats is I dive into those spokes on the wheel, and we really talk about your goals and desires in those areas. So before we dive into the rest of that wheel of life, let's take a look at our Lectio Divina passage for today's episode. And it is Romans 12, verses 1 through 3. I urge you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, your spiritual worship. Do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and pleasing and perfect. For by the grace given to me, I tell everyone among you not to think of himself more highly than one ought to think, but to think soberly, each according to the measure of faith that God has apportioned. Well, that is quite a lot, isn't it? But you probably recognized a pretty famous verse in there of being transformed by the renewal of your mind. Hey, that is what coaching is all about, reframing that mindset. And I think when you nail down those mental, spiritual, and physical spokes that I talked about in last week's episode, all these other spokes, physical, family, financial, personal, and career, kind of come along for the ride, because, those holistic spokes of, mind, body, and spirit are so key to our success. So last week, I gave you some quick tips on making some adjustments there. Spring is always a time for renewal and a little refresh. So I thought it would be fun to take a look at the wheel of life in this way. So today we are going to talk about the other 4 spokes, which is family, financial, personal, and career. And what I'll do is I'll explain what I mean about those spokes, like the definition, and then just give you a little tip on something to ponder or change up in that area. Because often when we're stuck, it means we need to try something new, right? All right, so first up is family. And what do I mean by that? This is choosing to be a positive influence by being a good example. So the family choices you make will set the example and influence you want to be for your loved ones. So if you're listening to this and you're single, or family is just not a big part of your life right now, um, it's still your circle of influence, your friends. Who do you hang out with? Are you choosing to be a good example there? And this has a huge impact on your legacy, what you are going to be known for. So one thing I love to do in this area that I think is really about living intentionally, is I love to share love notes, especially with my children. So there's a great little practice. You can just say, I love you because, and then fill in the blank. So I have three boys, almost 13, 11, and 9. So I always love to say, I love you because you're my son. And then I fill in a talent or something good that I saw them do. And I write it down and I hand that to them. And I make sure it's just one-on-one time when I do that. And to watch their face change is really quite amazing. So it makes you feel good. It makes them feel good. It's a great little exercise. You could also change this up, maybe at work, hand to somebody at work and say, I like you because, and fill in the blank. That is a great exercise to try. So that is about lifting one another up, right? Next on our wheel of life, we have financial. Now, this is always, this is typically a hard one on the wheel, just because there's so much at stake here, right? This is really about being able to hope and dream, making that choice to hope and dream. When we make wise financial choices, it inspires our hope and it builds our dreams. And just want you to know, especially from personal experience, we were at a point not too long ago where we really needed to tackle our debt. And once we started empowering ourselves just to recognize that and take hold of that and take action on it, it was super empowering, and it became a very positive experience instead of a negative one. So if you are in that boat, really just address it and start taking it by the reins. Feel free to message me to tell me what we did, but I had a mixture of Dave Ramsey and a couple of other things in there, but he's a great place to start. In any case, if you are on the opposite end of that and you are in a position to give, that is such an exciting place to be in. And wow, how you can change the world with ways that you can give, right? And what are you giving to, and what causes are you supporting? And in this area, I would give you the tip about reframing money as a tool and not an idol. Okay. And especially for us women of faith, sometimes I think money gets like a bad rap, like we shouldn't earn money or something. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? I mean, the more you earn, the more you can give, right? But also, money can be an idol even when you're in debt, because if you are constantly thinking about the negative of money, then it almost is like you are not counting on God for his provision, and it can even be an idol that way. So really reframe your mind about how you think about money and check your money mindset. So just give yourself a check in there. Number 6, the personal spoke on the wheel. Oh, I love talking about this, especially with women, because we're so good at doing all the things for all the other people, that this tends to get squashed. And once you rediscover it and really harness it, your life can really change. So, what do I mean by the personal spoke? It's choosing to use your time and energy wisely. Taking personal time gives us the creative energy we need to excel in everything we choose to be and do. Now, I know what you're thinking. Many of you are probably thinking, I don't have time for myself. Like, where am I supposed to do that? Um, and I think I said this in the last episode. I'm going to call your bluff on that you don't have time, because you absolutely do have time. You just need to rework the way you think of time. And also, you probably have to make some changes to your schedule to make room for you. And what I just said there about scheduling, make an appointment with yourself and keep it. Personal spoke is also a lot about making time for creativity. Now, if you're thinking, oh, I'm not a creative person at all, like I can't craft or something, right? But that's not the only way to be creative, okay? So it's about what makes you feel good. Maybe it's getting out in nature and going for a walk. Maybe that is a form of creative energy, right? Um, and maybe it's about things that you used to do that all of a sudden you don't anymore. I hear this with a lot of moms, especially. Especially when the kids are young, you are caught up in their needs, because that's just the season that you're in, and then you kind of forget those things that used to help rejuvenate you. Um, and, if I had to do it all over again and I had a coach at that time, I would have tapped into that creative time a bit more than I did. But I will say that, taking personal time gives you creative energy. If you're constantly putting out and serving, you can't replenish yourself. And the only way that you can do that is through personal time. So whether that's taking time out to do a hobby that you used to do that you don't anymore and you want to rediscover, or whether that's taking time out to read, or to do something creative with your hands, or exercise or pray, or whatever it is. But you need a way to incorporate uh, replenishing yourself creatively so that you have something to draw on when you go to reach your goals and do all the things you got to do, right? So, if you are struggling in this area, I really encourage you to be very honest with yourself and take a look at your schedule and see if there's something you can drop on it so that you can work in uh, some creative time for yourself, that personal time. Okay, next, career. So this is your economic engine, whatever that is for you. Now, if you're a stay-at-home mom, then guess what? Your career is taking care of your family. If you're retired, then, oh my goodness, your career could be anything. Maybe you're volunteering. Maybe you're the world's best grandma. I don't know. But the possibilities are wide open, right? So this is really about choosing, the very best performance instead of procrastination, right? So using the right attitude, effort builds skill, okay? So if you show up to work and you have the right attitude and effort, that skill level is going to improve each time you just simply show up, right? And for the stay-at-home moms, If you are getting good sleep so that you're not a bear the next day, then that's showing up with the right attitude and effort. And, maybe the negotiation skills with the toddler will improve. Um, and, if you're retired, um, showing up, at church, at your volunteer organization, or whatever it is that you're looking at, again, bringing the right attitude and effort will always lift up your skill and will always boost your performance. So always focus on the attitude and effort if you are concerned about, oh, I don't have enough skills to do this or that. The skills will come. Okay. It's really about how you're setting yourself up for success. So those are my super quick spring makeover tips on the wheel of life. And like I said, I dive into this wheel of life in my private coaching practice and on my retreats. So if that's something you want to explore more, please reach out to me and let's talk about what that looks like for you. And I want to just give you a quick preview of what's coming up on the podcast in the coming weeks. We're going to be talking about reclaiming your time. We're going to talk about what it means to be ready for opportunities. And maybe you're in a waiting season and you've got the right resources and you're feeling ready, but you're in this waiting season and it's not time yet. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about the big kahuna, transforming into the person God created you to be. Okay. And that's a biggie. So those are just some of the topics that are coming up here on the Keep Blooming podcast. So I hope you keep tuning in. And if you want to dive in further to any more of these topics in the Hawaii of Europe in paradise, come with me on Restore Retreat. It's the first week in October. And right now, if you're listening to this podcast in real time, the early bird savings expires April 29th. So make sure you sign up by then so you can save $500. And you can also, we have an amazing group rate round trip airfare of $780. That is incredible as well. So take a look at the link in the show notes. It has the itinerary. It has every little detail you need. We are doing Soulcore in the mornings, mastermind with me. And then there's just going to be all sorts of amazing food and adventures on this really stunning island. This is my third year going, and I'm still so pumped to be going back. I discover something new every time I'm there. So if you could use an extremely transformative vacation and you want to be pampered too, take a closer look. And of course, you can always message me with any questions you have on that. So be sure to check the show notes for all these goodies. And I still have my Wheel of Life download in there if you want to give yourself a little quiz on, where you are right now on that wheel and how you can grow and expand. You can download that and let me know, what your wheel looks like. Is it a flat tire? Look a little wonky? Is it round but small? Or is it big but you're thinking, it's time for more. There's more. We can dive into that. All right. So before we wrap up here, we are going to revisit our Lectio Divina passage, which is Romans 12, 1-3. I urge you, therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, your spiritual worship. Do not conform yourselves to this age, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and pleasing and perfect. For by the grace given to me, I tell you, everyone among you, not to think of himself more highly than one ought to think, but to think soberly, each according to the measure of faith that God has apportioned. So this time, what sticks out for me is, after transformed by the renewal of your mind, he then says that you may discern what is the will of God. So you really have to be in the good and positive mindset and taking that silence and self-reflection and prayer time to really discern what is the will of God for your life. And I really challenge you, are you checking in with him first before you tackle whatever it is you're going to do? I think that's super key. All right, my friends, let's get growing and keep blooming. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Keep Blooming. Tune in every Wednesday for a dose of hope and encouragement. You can find this podcast on Anchor, Spotify, and Google and Apple Podcasts. To be the first to know about my upcoming retreats and latest offerings, be sure to hop onto my email list. Have a wonderful week, and remember to keep blooming.